Good morning. Today I have our jump lesson for pages 95 through 96. We are learning about factors, and I think this lesson is kind of short. But let me know if you have questions about it. I can add some things to our math document. Let's do our boss question. Find all the factors of 100. And if you already know what factors are, you might just want to pause this and try out the boss question. Okay, so factors. Factors are numbers you multiply to get another number, which sounds like a confusing definition, which is why I think it's always better to have an example for this. So here we have 4 times 3. Oh my, hidden layer. 4 times 3 equals 12. 4 and 3 are the factors of 12 because you multiply them. 2 times 10 equals 20. 2 and 10 are the factors of 20. So if I wrote something like 3 times 8 equals 24, which ones would the factors be? You can pause, and 3 and 8 are factors of 24. Or to give one more example, 10 times 10 equals 100. Which ones are the factors? 10, so just 10, is a factor of 100. Hopefully the examples help. All right. We'll do some of the problems that are like your jump book. So the book shows you a way of finding factors by drawing rectangles, which is kind of a cool way of showing whether something makes sense as a factor or not. If you can draw a rectangle for it, basically you'll know it's a factor. So just for an example, you want to find the factors of 4. So one way of drawing 4 squares and making them into a rectangle is to just have a big line of squares. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. There has to be 4 squares if you're finding the factors of 4. We can draw more than one rectangle, so let's add in some other options. So we can also make our line of 4 rectangles going the other direction. And then we can also make a rectangle like this with 2 across and 2 down. If I made this shape, 3 across, and then I wanted to have only 4 squares, my shape would look like this. Is this a rectangle? Well, no, it's not a rectangle, so I can't use that. I can only use the arrangement of 4 squares that make a real rectangle, or a square, because a square is a type of rectangle. Okay, so now if I want to find the factors based on my pictures, I would say, well, this one has 1 square across, so 1 is a factor of 4. This one has 4 squares across, so 4 is a factor of 4. This one has 2 squares across, so 2 is a factor of 4. Now this one down here had 3 squares across, however, it did not make a rectangle, so 3 is not a factor of 4. So I could write for the factors of 4, 1, 4, and 2. Let's erase these. don't need that. Okay, now here we'll find the factors of 12. So go ahead and give it a try. Pause the video and see if you can draw rectangles to find the factors of 12. Okay, so here I've started out. I have drawn an arrangement of 12 squares, but it has to be in a rectangle. So you can see here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can always make a long line of squares to form a rectangle. That's always correct. So 12 is a factor of 12. This one you can see is 3 by 4 makes a rectangle, so 3 is a factor of 12. Here we have 4 by 3, so we know 4 is a factor of 12. Now I ran out of space, so I have another layer. Okay, so here's some other options. Here I was making a long line of 12, but I ran out of space, so this is going to keep going until it gets to 12. Oops. Presumably on your paper you won't have that problem. So 1 is a factor of 12 because I can just keep this rectangle going for 12 squares down. Here I have 2 by 6. 2 is a factor of 12. And here I have 6 by 2. That makes a rectangle, so 6 is a factor of 12. Now, if I wanted to see is 5 a factor of 12, I could start making one that is 5 across. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. But then there needs to be 2 more boxes. So here's 5 across. Is 5 a factor of 12? Well, no, it is not, because it doesn't make a rectangle. Instead, it makes this bumpy combination shape. But that doesn't count as a factor. There's one more thing your book points out, which is, let's say I want to find, again, the factors of 12. And I said, well, maybe 13 could be a factor of 12. Let me draw. So if I want 13 to be a factor of 12, it has to be the top of the box here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12. Oops. 13. Okay, so my lines are going to be funky, but let's just say it's like this. Are there 12 total boxes? I made a rectangle that has 13 boxes, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait a minute. If I have an extra box, it does not count, even though I could make a rectangle. Because the total number of squares has to equal this number up here. Total number of squares, in this case, must equal 12. So you cannot add more than 12 squares if you're finding the factors of 12. Just a side note there. All right, so that is really all we're doing today. So here's our boss question. Find all the factors of 100. Go ahead and write it in the math document, and I will see you next time.